Hi guys, so it's been long since I did a video for Trusty Tutors, and today I'll be doing a prelim paper from 2019. It is from AMK Secondary School, and actually also I just want to show you my new setup. Well, it's more of a ratchet setup because I'm kind of bored of my room, doing in my own room, and I made up this set in my living room. I have the question here on my screen, my lighting on my water bottle, so I'm not sure how will it work, and I have my laptop to monitor every single thing from audio and all of the connections. So without further ado, I'll be going through just the first 15 questions in this series, and maybe in part 2 I'll go through the next 15 questions and so on and so forth, because I wouldn't want to bore you guys with an hour of math. So without further ado, let's get into the paper. Hi, so this is the first question of the paper 1. So in this case, we are looking at a very simple simplification question here. We're looking at x plus 7 minus x bracket 2 minus 3x. And for this case, what we have to do is simply just do the umbrella, so the rainbow method, going in this way. And minus x times 2 is minus 2x. And what you have is minus x times minus 3x. So a minus times, when it hits a minus, it gives you a positive 3x squared. So to simplify this, what you will need to do is to push the highest power and always in front, x squared. 1 minus 2x gives you minus x, and also for this case you just left plus 7. So this is a quadratic equation. You don't have to do anything. So basically what you do is you just expand inwards, and that's about it. So for the next part, we are looking at factorization. So factorization completely of 4ax plus 12a minus x and minus 3. So what I like to tell my students, if it's a factorization question, as you can see here, if it's a factorization question, never ever rearrange. Just leave the terms and the unknowns where it's in the position. So you don't want to shift this x towards this x and this a, vice versa. If it's left like this, you just leave it like this, because this is only a 2-mark question, so you don't have to do much. For the first part, it's obvious that you have to take the common term here. You got 4, you got a, you got 12, and you got a. So what you have to take is take out 4a, and in this case you take out 4a and x plus 3. And if you're looking at the back here, you can actually make this to the same, this x plus 3 and this minus x minus 3. How can you do that? The common terms for this minus x and minus 3 is a minus 1. Therefore, you can actually pull out the negative 1, which will give you x plus 3. And what you have achieved here is you have achieved 2 common terms of the x plus 3 and the x plus 3 here. And for this case, you can still factorize out the common term of the x plus 3. And therefore, if you take out the x plus 3, you'll be left with 4a minus 1. And that's all for the factorization. So this is, I would say, quite simple, but you just have to know that even the minus x and minus 3, you can actually take out the common term of the negative sign, which is the negative 1. Okay, for the next part of the question here, for the next part of the question, we are looking at the pie chart. Shows the sale for 4 different flavor of cookies, and you have the chocolate, okay, as you can see, the chocolate, the orange, almond, and sugi. State one aspect of the graph that may be misleading and explain how this may lead to a misinterpretation of the graph. So it shows that how this graph is positioned in such a way that actually it will misinterpret or make the information misleading. So right off the bat, you can see that the chocolate and the almond is both at 29%. However, the size of the chocolate is actually much larger than the almond. If you can see here, so let me adjust the camera. Okay, you can see that the chocolate is being represented in 29%, much larger than element, which you could say that it's 1/4 of the entire pie chart. So that's number one, that it's misleading. Number two, that's what's misleading is that this pie chart is in a weird form, and it's in I would say 3D form, which is not the best to actually show your information here. So that's number one, is that the size of the same amount of percentage is different. One is just 1/4, and one more is more than 1/4, even though they have the same percentage. And as you can see here, okay, if you can look here, yeah, so it is the size difference. And one more is that this whole pie chart actually is misinterpreted in the form. Okay, yeah, so basically that's it for the two reasoning. And for the third question, we are looking at set notation. Okay, so set notation, okay, just give me a sec. Okay, so for the set notation here, we have a Venn diagram where a certain part of y is inside the entire x region, and from here we are looking at x is an integer where x is more than equals to 1 and less than equals to 9. So what I like to do is actually I like to write down all of the terms first. So this is 1, 2, 3. I'm just writing down the terms, you can see here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And you have the second part to be the... Give me a sec. Sorry guys, because I'm filming alone, so it's may get some used to. So the second part, which is an odd number, so therefore I'll just put it as 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. The last one is a factor of 6. Okay, so I'll just put it as 1, 2, 3, and 6. So I have all of the values being placed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for the first condition. The second condition where you're talking about x is an odd number, so I'm putting it 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and the last one, which is a factor of 6, therefore I'll put it as 1, 2, 3, and 6. So right now they're asking you to draw the Venn diagram to illustrate the information above. So the first part of drawing the Venn diagram, okay, let me just zoom in here, okay, is to write the first term here, the first circle, okay, and then you have the second circle. Okay. So for the first one, we can name it, okay, so they already name it for us, the A and the B, so I'll just put it as A and B. Okay, and they say to illustrate the above information. So we're looking at the information above here, where y is a subset of x. So what you got to do is that, okay, in the middle here, which is here, right, this is the intersection point. Okay, this part here is the intersection point, meaning to say it is an overlap. So let's say if it's, okay, I give you guys an example. So if, okay, we are comparing with two friends, both of us have iPhones, both of us have the same wallet. So our iPhone and wallet will be here, and maybe I'm staying at in Choa Chu Kang and my friend is staying in Tampines. So the two different informations will be placed here. What is placed here is same information, like what I said, same phone, same wallet will be placed here, which is your intersection point. Okay, so for this case, you have these three numbers. You have the universal set in the first part here, and you got A and you got B. So what you can see are double of 1 3s. So I'm just going to highlight that first. 1 3 1 3 1 3. So what will happen is that 1 and 3 will be placed in the intersection point here. 1 and 3. Okay, and for the rest of A, we place at a place here. So you can see A 5 7 9. Well, you just place in your A 5 7 and 9, And for the next part of 2 and 6, just be put in B. Okay, so this is done. But however, you realize that you still have more numbers. So your 5, 7, 9 is done. 2 and 6 is done. So what you are left with, if you realize after cancelling, is you are left with 4 and 8. Okay, 4 and 8. And this 4 and 8 here, since it does not belong to both A and B, it will just be placed outside in the universal set, because this whole thing is just the universal set. So you just have to put it in here, just outside of the 4. Okay, I mean it's not should be in red pen, but it doesn't matter. So your 4 and 8 will be outside here, and the rest of the numbers here. So this 1 and 3 just tells you that both A and B contain 1 and 3. So that's about it for this part. And we are looking at the next part. List the elements in the set A union B prime. Okay, so for the union of B prime, so A union, okay, A union B prime, A union B. So what we need to do is we need to find what's inside the A union B first. A union B, basically it's a union, meaning to say that it's everything in that specific circle. So what I have to do, I'll just color it. This is the union, meaning to say both A and B in here. Okay, and you have a prime. You have a prime. Prime meaning to say everything outside of that specific thing that you just mentioned. So in this case, it's A union B prime. So everything outside. So what are the numbers outside this universal thingy? Is 4 and 8. Okay. Okay. Right. So we are done with that question. Okay, the next part here, we're looking at x squared minus 2x minus 2 in the form of p plus x plus q squared. So this is simply just complete the square. So for complete the square, what you got to do is you equate this quadratic equation to 0. So x squared minus 2x minus 2 is 0, and you push the constant value over to the right hand side. So you get x squared minus 2x equals to 2. Next, to make a quadratic equation into complete the square form, which is this, you have to add b divided by 2 square on both sides. So you have this side and you have this side. So I'm just going to do that. X squared minus 2x plus, and the b term is this, because as we all know, in quadratic equation, this is A, this is B, and this is C. This is A, this is B, and this is C. The value of B here is -2, therefore I put the -2 in the B. So it will just take -2 square equals to 2 plus -2 square. So for this case, I'm just gonna put it back down to factorize, so it's -1 square, and 2 plus 2 minus 2 gives you square, gives you 3, and this is x minus 1 square equals to 3. So I'm just going to push back the constant so that I can have this form here. So it's x minus 1 square plus -3, because this is positive. So there we go. So this is the form here, x minus 1 square minus 3. So let's complete the square. What you have to remember or take away from this is just that this front part here and this formula here, where you have to add b divided by 2 square to both sides. Okay, so in the next part, this is a very favorite part in the O levels. After to complete the square, you have to put it into graphical form. Okay, let me see what you guys can see. Zoom in a bit. Alright, zoom in a bit. Okay, so it's a bit tough to actually film alone because I'm not sure. The screen is very small. Okay, so here you have the sketch the graph of whatever you solved just now. Y equal to x squared minus 2x minus 2 on this graph sheet. before drawing the graph, what you need to do is you need to find the x values and the y values, because you have to find the both x values, because you know it's going to be a smiley face or it's going to be a sad face. However, this is a positive, therefore this is a positive, therefore it's going to be a smiley face. If this is a negative, it will be a sad face. And even though it's a happy face or a sad face, you need to find the two intersection points of the x, which you will be finding now. And also you need to find the minimum, sorry, for here is the maximum and here is the minimum point. The minimum point and the maximum point meaning to say where the graph turns. So it is the turning point. So for some questions they do mention turning point, and turning point is just basically your maximum and your minimum point. Okay, so for this case it's y equals to 2x, sorry, so we already solved this thing, so it's y equals to, okay, this is red, that's y equals to x minus 1 square minus 3. Okay, this is the trick here. So to find your x value, so to find x, you have to let the other term here be 0. Okay, if you are finding y, you let x be 0. If you are finding x, you let y be 0. So it's like a vice versa thingy. So this case, I'll let y equals to 0. 0 equals to x minus 1 square minus 3. So how do I solve this? Is I have to push the 3 over to the left hand side, because when you want to solve something, you want to find the value of this x here, right? So I just push this guy over there. So it's 3 x minus 1 square. To remove a square or power 2, you have to throw it over, and when you throw a square over, it becomes square root. So it's a plus minus square root because it's a quadratic, and you want to find the left the x, so you have to push the constant over. Negative 1 go over, become positive 1, and you will solve it by having minus square root 3 plus 1 or plus 3 plus 1. So it's a positive and a negative. In this case, let me calculate it. Minus 3 square root plus 1 gives you negative 0.732, and also a positive square root gives you 2.732. Okay, so for this case, what happens is that you need to find your y value now. So again, to find your y value, you have to find y, you have to let x equals to 0. Remember the vice versa thing? So that is the thing that I'm talking here. So the equation here, let me just copy this thing over. So for this case, you have to let x equals to 0. Simply take this in the calculator. So if I just put this quickly in the calculator, it's minus 1 square, which is positive 1 plus minus 3 is minus 2. So as you can see here, for this case, I was finding x, I let y be 0. I let y be 0. Then therefore I got two values of x, negative 0.732 and 2.732. And for this case, I'm finding y, therefore I let x is 0. So it's 0 minus 1 square minus 3, then therefore I get the minimum point, because that is the where it goes to the bottom and it turns upwards. Okay. I was trying to zoom in and out using the monitor. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, so since I have the x value at negative, so it's down here maybe, negative 0.732 and positive 2.73, and a minimum value of negative 2, so I'm just going to place it here, minus 2. Okay, so mind my drawing. My drawing is not the best in the world, but I'll just try. Okay, yeah, so something like this. So you see, you have the two x values and negative 0.732 and 2.732, and you have the turning point of the negative 2 here. So that's what you want to try to do. I mean, you need to draw it better with a smiley shape. So, and I'll just put the equation of graph here. And this is the whole sketch of the graph. So I'll see you in the next part, because I can't do the first 15 questions, because it looks like it's 20 minutes already. So I'll be posting this first part here, and I'll be continuing with the question 5 and onwards.